don't know, but the enemy has been using addiction to keep you from being what God wants you to be. Good evening. We don't own the rights to this music, but I like the song because God is changing your story. God is changing our story from addiction to recovery. So if you was an addict, you're no longer an addict. God is changing you. We don't own the rights to this song, but He's releasing you. He's giving you healing, deliverance, and setting you free from your addiction. So you are no longer what you used to be. This is not going to be your story no more. When they said that you was always going to be an addict and you never going to amount to nothing, that won't be your story no more. As they say, once an addict is always an addict. Not true. That's not your story anymore.
Amen.
You will not be that anymore. You are victorious. You are more than a conqueror. You are healed and delivered and set free from your drug addiction. So God is come to break you from anything that has been holding you hostage, especially in addiction. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the real deal of addiction. And we're going to talk about it. And I got my guest. I got my partner that y'all never seen. That, of course, this is a team here, Team Coleman. So we're going to get started. So, of course, I got to turn my sound down so we can get started. Good evening. Welcome to the live show.
Good evening.
Welcome to the live show, Living in Freedom Every Day with your hostess, me.
J. Coleman.
Okay, you see him in the back. Elder J. Coleman and myself. We are here. We are on tonight. Hello. I know that you are out there. If you are following me on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. Of course, it's Elder Yolanda. That's a new one. Elder Yolanda Pinckney Coleman is the YouTube channel, so you can get all of this on there. So if you follow me on YouTube, that's my YouTube channel. If you're following us on Life, Living in Freedom Every Day, it is our, we have a group and we have a recovery page. So both of our recovery pages are on there. And so we welcome you to life. As we say, or as I say every time I'm on, I am not a therapist. I am a recovery coach. I'm a life purpose recovery coach. I am a life purpose coach. And I do not have a license, but if you need a licensed therapist, listen, I know some people that's on here that will help you if you need the therapeutic interventions. I can provide those interventions for you as well, but I'm not going to work out of my scope of practice. I am a certified substance abuse counselor assistant. So give me a few months. I will be a certified substance abuse counselor. I'm working on my credentials and I'm so grateful, but I am a substance abuse counselor. I do provide interventions for those who are struggling with addiction and recovery. I have my husband here. He is a life coach, and he doesn't work in the counseling field. He is a manager. He is the manager of BUD Boutiques. As you know, that is our boutique. Yeah. We do t-shirts, but that's not this program. But we just want to give you a little bit of information about us. But as y'all know, y'all see us all the time on social media, so I know that you are formally introduced to us. But as I was stating, this is how our program works. We provide resources, we provide education, we provide interventions. If there's anybody who needs anything therapeutic or mental health counseling, we can refer you to those who have the licenses and they are professionals. I have a certification and I do have a license pending. So at this time, but nevertheless, that's what we do. So I don't want nobody to say, oh, she told me she was a counselor. No, I didn't. I told you I am a recovery coach. I am a substance abuse recovery coach. I do have those credentials and I'm working on some licenses. So the licensed professional counselors, I have some MSWs that's on my page. I have some LPCs on my page, and I have some ABCDs. No, I got people who are licensed in the field, so they can help you with anything that's way beyond my scope. Your everything on here is confidential. Everything on here, if you inbox or send a message, is confidential. I connect you, and then you and the person can do your dealings. And I am the less intense program, so I can do 12-step. I can do the 12-step program. I can do all the recovery groups for you. If you need that, for any services that you might be on probation, you might be on juvenile probation, and you need those certifications, or you need the signatures, or you need to say, I was in a recovery program. Well, I'm your girl. You are coming to the recovery program, VA Virtue. Okay. So pass that on, like, share, and invite someone to come on. Now, you may not be impacted by the drug addiction or be impacted by drug abuse, and that's okay, because again, this is not for everybody. But you got to know somebody who struggled with drugs. You got to know somebody who had fallen by the wayside from addiction. You have to know somebody, either as a family member, a family friend, or somebody that has been struggling with addiction. Again, addiction is just way beyond just drugs, but this is what we're going to talk about. But it's more than drugs. It's alcohol, it's sex. Okay, y'all don't want to talk about that. It's sex, it's gambling, it's shopping, it's anything that take control of you. You don't have no more control of it. It overtakes you, and you loses your control. That is what addiction is. You can eat. Okay, people don't talk about that. They binge eat. You can have an addiction to watching so much TV. You can have addiction from working. You'll be a workaholic. Your family, you have no family time because you constantly working. Whether you on the phone, whether you're on the tablet, whether you virtual, you got 2-3 devices, and you're a workaholic. So anything can take you out of addiction. I told you, after the drug addiction, I had some, other addictions, and I love hair, as you see, have a new hairstyle, but that is all a part of addiction, especially when you have to hide stuff. I hid stuff from him, and he didn't even know. He thought that I wore the same clothes. He thought that, oh, you got that in your closet. So anything could be a drug addiction. So don't just, anything could be an addiction. So don't just say, oh, I don't know nobody who got a drug addiction. Well, okay, but you know somebody who got addiction. Hey, so bring them on in. Join us. So good evening. Again, good evening, and welcome to the life. We call it living in freedom every day, because this is what we want people to do. We want people to walk in freedom. We want people to live in freedom, because they can. They have a choice, and they can live in freedom. They can be free from drug addiction. They can be free from anything that's holding them hostage. But how could they be free if they don't have the tools? And this is what we provide on this evening. So we welcome you again to our program. Again, I am Elder Yolanda, and this is Elder J. Coleman, and we are life, living in freedom every day. So with that being said, I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to jump out the way because he's going to take over tonight. Y'all always see my face and hear my voice, but now we're going to have him on the scene tonight. So I had to do this a little bit of an introduction because he don't ever be here when I do the introduction. So I'm doing the introduction, and we're going to talk about the drugs in our culture. Okay, we're just going to give you a little, like I said, this is going to be a little bit of educational information, and we would like you to pass it on. Invite somebody and bring them on. So they can get this information, so they can have a better comprehension of what drug addiction and how it affects us today. We are in a global pandemic. As we all know, this is affecting everybody across the whole America, okay? And there are still drug addiction. There's still people who are suicidal. There's people who are committing suicide. There's people who are depressed. There's people who are mental illnesses on a rise. It's just so many different things that's on a rise right now. And so because of this, nobody talks about this drug addiction on a rise. There are so many people, and then you have a lot of crime because of it. So there's so many people who are out here that are, they're panicking, and also they're depressed, and this is what they're doing. They are consuming, whether it's a gateway drug, which is marijuana and alcohol, or they're consuming a narcotic, a legal substance. So either way, they're really having such a hard time. So how can we help somebody? How can we help somebody? The best way for us to help somebody is being informed. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the truth about drugs. I had got a series. I'm into so many different things. Of course, drug addiction is my passion. Of course, as I told you, my testimony, and so it is my passion. It's something that I care a lot about because of how it affects my life, how it affects my family life, and so a little bit about dealing with when you have the passion for it, when you've been delivered from it, you have the passion to deliver someone else. That's the scripture, right? Scripture said, when you come out, paraphrasing, just go back and bring out your brother and sister. And so that's what I have learned to do. But I just haven't learned to do just by simply saying my testimony. I have learned to do it by getting education, getting a degree, getting more continue educating, credits, and constantly keeping abreast of everything that's going on, especially in the 21st century. So we know that scientifically they still are out on the studies of why and how and so forth and so on. But again, I'm going to keep myself abreast of what the information is so I can be able to pass that along. So the truth about drugs is that we know that drugs destroy and ruin millions of people's lives. I know some of you probably have family members whose lives have been ruined by drugs. If you're not, you probably know somebody who have family members ruined by drug addiction. So they ruin people's lives every year. And this year is no different because, of course, this global pandemic and people are just going. I mean, if they indoors or outdoors, whatever they're doing, they probably consuming drugs. There's so many people who are homeless and they probably, it's just so my heart breaks. I thank God for a roof over my head, but there's someone who don't have a roof over their head. There's someone who is homeless. There's someone who is on drugs and homeless. There's someone who is on drugs, homeless, and don't have they're lonely. They don't have no family because their addiction caused them to lose everything. Okay, so there are so many people out here that are in dire need. Okay, so just don't look at them when you see them like, oh my God, look at them, they're crackhead, they're drughead, they this. No, what could you do? Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. What could you do to help? I know churches, okay, let me talk about my church. We have resources, okay? We have resources. Our pastor, he is in the field of social services, and so is our first lady. So we have resources. He brings resources to the church every day when the church is open. So we bring resources to the church because we want to help our our community. And how could we do that? We just figure like, okay, come to church, get saved. No, you got to deal with their natural, first, and then you offer the spiritual. They can't hear you preaching. I know that I've been delivered from drugs, but I wasn't in the church. I tell that testimony before. I wasn't in the church when that happened. I came to church plenty of times, but when I was at home, I got delivered from drugs. But there's people who may not come to church and get delivered. They can hear the word and won't be delivered until, wherever. Or they might have to go through a whole lot, institution, jail, and then near death like I did to be able to know the concept of it. So at the end of the day, there are people who are affected in this world. I have put up there about a statistic that they had done back in 2017 where they showed that almost over 1.9 million people are on addiction. And I might be quoting it out of context because I don't got my paperwork to read it. But there are so many people who are affected by it. And again, there is a lot of talk about drugs in this world, okay? On the streets, at school. I don't think your middle school don't know about drugs, okay? They talk about it at school. They talk about it on the internet and television. And some is true, some of it is not. If you ever notice that when they talk about stuff, they talk about mental health and somebody went out there, and do these horrific acts. And first thing they blame is, they was mentally ill. How would they know? Are there any psychologists in the? I didn't know the news media had psychologists. I didn't know the president had a degree in psychology. No, they don't know what the person is. And when you don't know, you just say whatever comes to your mind. It was mental illness or they was on drugs. You don't know that. So again, So it's on there, and some of the information is true and some of the information is not. And so much of what you hear about drugs actually comes from those selling them. You didn't know that, huh? Some people get their information from the drug dealer. Okay? Some people get their information from the drug dealer. I know I was giving out the information. Reformed drug dealers have confessed they would have said anything to get others to buy drugs. And that's what we do. We tell them, hey, yo, this make you feel good. Hey, yo, this take the edge off. Hey, yo, this is just will, make you forget all about your troubles, about your problems, about everything. Okay? So, yeah, we know how to tell people how to buy drugs. We know how to tell people how to use drugs. Oh, take this pill. Oh, my goodness. Take this ecstasy. Take this tab. Take this meth tab. Take this. It will take you to, you want to have a good time. You want to be the hype man. You want to be the life of the party. Anything. We just come up with all kinds of excuses just to get them to buy the drugs or to use the drugs. So don't be fooled. You need the facts to avoid becoming hooked on drugs and to help your friends stay off of them. That is why we are talking about this tonight. And it's going to be an ongoing thing. I know I got off my lesson a little bit because I was talking about introduction to addiction and I had some other information, but I thought this would be prevalent, what we call it, recovery 101. Give you the basics first and tell you how all of this stuff is prevalent. So drugs have been part of our culture since the middle of the last century. So middle of the last century, which they called in the 1960s. Of course, back in with pop culture music, and that fact, it was probably way back in the World War because the nurses was giving the soldiers at the time, they were giving them the opiates, okay? They were giving them morphine and they were giving them cocaine. It probably was different names because it was all considered as a sedative, and they were giving it to them so they would not feel pain. It was numbing them. It was keeping them, because back then they didn't have no drug pharmaceuticals, so they was able to get these kind of drugs to give to these soldiers during the World War, Vietnam War, way back in the war. So it goes way back then, but when it comes to the culture of the 1960s, then of course by music and mass media, they invaded all aspects of society. And of course, an estimate of 208 million people internationally consume illegal drugs in the United States resulted from the 2007 National Survey on Drug Use and Health showed that 19.9 million Americans, or 8% of the population aged 12 and older, used illegal drugs in the month prior to the survey. So let me tell you, that is a lot of people who have consumed a lot of drugs during that time. And you probably know someone who has been affected by drugs directly or indirectly. And like I said, you probably know someone who is dealing or struggling with it. And let me disclose this. Just because we go to church, don't be fooled. Because there's a lot. Listen, the church is consumed and made up of sinners. Okay, all saved by the grace, unmerited favor. You didn't earn it. You didn't work for it. You didn't own it. You got it for free because God gave it to you. It was a favor that God gave you. And so you got grace, unmerited favor by God in order for you to be able to be sitting up in the church. Okay? So don't get it twisted. You may not, you were saved. I got saved at 8 years old. Okay, you got saved at 8 years old because you probably God's grace was upon your life because he might have known that if I didn't save her or him at this age, if they would have been able, you wouldn't handle half of the stuff that we went through. I'm not gonna preach on here But I'm gonna be real. You won't be able to handle half of the stuff that people went through on drugs. You probably would have died at 10 years old or 8 because you couldn't handle it. You can't. So don't brown nose people. Don't put your nose up at people because they fell. They got into drugs and they didn't get where you are and they ain't no, they ain't no educator or they ain't got no degree or they ain't politicians or whatever they ain't. Guess what? Those are all addicts too, undercover, and they socially function because they can do those drugs and drink those alcohol and still go to work. Don't get it twisted. Don't be fooled by it. It just haven't consumed them yet. Keep watching. Keep watching. It will. It will. So the most common use and abused drugs in the United States is alcohol. Did you know that? Okay, y'all have to listen. If you ever notice that they put liquor stores everywhere, right? It's free. I mean, not free. Go in there. Let me get a fifth of Henny. Let me get a this. Spend it like you may not spend the money you spend on drugs, but you spend on the alcohol just about pretty much, right? You go to the restaurants and drink it. They have to have their liquor license to sell the liquor, get you drunk. So yeah, it's all good. If you notice that in certain Commonwealth states, which one of them I live in, they are open on Sundays. The ABC store, what they call it. And guess what? They were open as an essential. Yeah, I probably didn't know. They was considered an essential. They were considered essential workers, and it was considered a place that needed to be open. Why? Because they get taxed. That money infiltrates into the economy of that state. You ain't know that. So that is why it's okay. That is why it's okay. That's why it's okay. So yes, but alcohol-related motor accidents are the second leading cause of teen deaths in the United States. They also the second cause of drunk drivers. We know that I know some people who've been affected by that. Okay, I know y'all probably know some family members who've been affected by that. So there are so many people who've been affected by someone who has been killed by a drunk driver. The most commonly used illegal drug is marijuana. Of course, so it's alcohol and marijuana. Those are gateway drugs to the drugs. But according to the United Nations back in 2008, the World Drug reports about 3.9% of the world's population between the ages of 15 and 64 abusing marijuana. And now they made it medical. So young people today are exposed early than ever. I mean, I was exposed at 8, so imagine they probably exposed now at 7 or 6. Matter of fact, let me say this. I saw a video. Y'all probably saw it too. It was circulating. Maybe last couple of years ago. I don't know if it's still on there, but it was on Instagram and it was on Facebook that somebody was giving a 2-year-old. They were smoking the weed in the front of the 2-year, blowing and smoking there. And then they gave the 2-year-old. And did you see how the 2-year-old tote the weed? Terrible. But that just shows you that that's how they can get hooked. I mean, hopefully the parents the person caregiver, I think they got in trouble for it because again, anything you put on social media that is that illegal or that, that's child endangerment, that's endangered child welfare. So I guess they got in trouble for it. I haven't seen the video anymore, but it's probably on YouTube. So you probably can look it up, but don't take my word for it. You can probably look it up and see, but that's what I'm saying. They can start early. And based on a survey by the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, because CDC is not just for the pandemic now. You go on the CDC and you'll find anything that relates to what we're talking about and what we're talking about and what we're doing. Okay, so you can find out. You can really find out early about what's going on. So don't be fooled by that. Okay. they got a lot of information. You go on CDC, you can pull up everything. You'll find drugs, you'll find everything. You find a whole bunch of stuff on there. So 45% of high school students nationwide drank alcohol. Now, you know, I'm going to say this again. It all starts in these schools, very young, very young. Watch your children. Don't just think like they tripping out. You need to find out. Go up in that room, see what they got. Because let me tell you, some kids get drunk off of this, okay? Guess what this is? You probably can't tell. Hand sanitizer. It has it has some percentage of alcohol in it. They can get drunk off of this, but they can also get sick because it has aloe vera. But there's kids who get drunk off of this. I don't have any more of it, but let me get you something. Let me give you an educational lesson. Kids, use this. Get high off of the magic marker, okay? So watch out if they have more than that. And they used to have, I guess they must have stopped making it. I don't know, because I don't have it anymore. But the whiteout. I don't have the liquid whiteout. They get high for that. So don't get blindsided. If you see all of this stuff in your kid's room, also they get high off of the fumes from. Let them ask you. This is something you need to be mindful of too. Let them ask you for the Cool Whip, the spray. You spray it. They get high on that too. You didn't know that? Yes, they squirt it up and the fumes. Anything with the fumes. Anything with fumes. Okay. So aerosol. Anything. It starts young. They get high off of a magic marker. Okay, starts young. But it causes a lot of neurological problems. And we'll talk about those too. But it causes a lot of neurological problems. So if you see them with a lot of hand sanitizer, magic markers, and some whiteout, and that can of Cool Whip, Ready Whip spray in their room, you better watch out. They probably getting high for that. Okay, so again, be mindful. It starts early and it can start with those little things and they can lead to other things. So again, 45%, according to the literature, 45% of high school students nationwide drank alcohol and 19.7% smoked pot during a 1-month period. In Europe, recent studies among 15 and 16-year-olds suggest that use of marijuana varies from under 10% to over 40%, with the highest rate reported by teens in the Czech, I'm probably saying that, Czech Republic, 44%, followed by Ireland, which is 39%, the UK, 38%, and France, 38%. In Spain and the United Kingdom, cocaine use among 15 to 16-year-olds is 4% to 6%. Cocaine use among young people has risen in Denmark, Italy, Spain, UK, Norway, and France. Now, this is a literature that I'm reading from. So it's Truth About Drugs. It's literature that I got from thedrugworld.com. So if you're interested in anything, it's called drugfreeworld.com. No, drugfreeworld.org. And I can put that information because anybody can, go in there and get literature. I use SAMHSA, so I use these. I get all of my literature. I get all my literature from these resources. Because I tell you, I look up, I research, and it started for myself because I wanted to know why I was behaving the way I was behaving and why I went through what I went through. So these literatures are available for you and anybody who wants them. It's not mine, it's theirs. And you can always pull it up and get all this free stuff, okay? Free resources is what they're called. Resources and literature. So you can get this stuff for your family members, okay? But sometimes people need to see black and white. Wait a minute. Let me see. I didn't get it right. Some people need to see it in black and white, so you can probably give it to them, okay? So I'm going to let you see that. Let it scroll up there. So that's the resources. That's what I read. That's what I give you on top of books, right? Okay, so none of this stuff, plus my personal testimony, because all of it makes sense, right? Okay, so that's what they said. That's what they say. So, so that's what they have said. So here is a story about a young man, right? He said his goal in life wasn't living; it was getting high. Over the years, he turned to cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol under a false belief it would allow him to escape his problems. It just made things worse. He kept saying to himself, I'm going to stop permanently after using one last time. Of course, he said it never happened. He said it started with the weed, then the pills, ecstasy, and acid, making cocktails of all sorts of drugs, even overdosing to make the rushes last long. He had a bad trip one night. He prayed and cried for this feeling to go away. I know nobody probably ever experienced that. I experienced that. I guess Elder J. Coleman might experience that. That you have this feeling that you wish you never ever used drugs. You be like, why did I take that stuff? Oh my God, it feel like you tripping. It feel like you want to jump off the roof or something. It feel like you just want to go out. You feel, one, you feel like you're Superman, and then two, you feel crazy. I'm telling you, it's just a crazy feeling. So he said that he had voices in his head, he had the shakes, and he couldn't leave home for 6 months. He thought everyone was watching him. He couldn't walk in public places. Man, he said, he couldn't even drive. He ended up homeless on the streets, living and sleeping in a cardboard box, begging and struggling to find ways to get the next meal. Come on now. His story is similar to so many other people's story. His story is similar to so many other people's story. Okay? And so I'm going to give you this one last point because there's so much to talk about. But I want to get Elder J. Coleman on here too, so he can give you a little bit, give you a little bit. So drugs don't fix nobody's problem. Drugs, sex, etc. won't solve the problem that causes the pain. I was on a symposium called I Am Not My Pain. I am not my pain. Trust me. That is so true. And drugs, sex, and anything will not solve that problem. It will not fix your pain. Okay? So why do people use drugs? Why do people use drugs? And a lot of people, see, y'all got the false concept of why people use drugs. You just be like, oh, they just use drugs because they just want to, oh, they just an addict because, oh, they got it because they mother got it. Oh, they do. You don't know really why people use drugs, do you? You don't know why people use drugs. I always say it got to be either a high or a habit. That's their choice. That's their choice. But this is why people use drugs. And this is just something I'm reading. So don't be like, how do you know? I'm gonna tell you, like I said, my personal story. I use drugs because I was trying to avoid the pain. Okay. So people take drugs because they want to change something about their lives. Here are some of the reasons young people have given for taking drugs. They said, and this is somewhat true. They want to fit in, escape, what I just told you, escape or relax, to relieve boredom, to seem grown up, to rebel, and to experiment. Now, how many of you on here did any of them? Excuse me, any on that list? Well, I can say I did the experiment, I did the rebel, I did to fit in. I definitely, numero uno is to escape or relax. Now, I don't know about feeling boredom and growing up because I was already being grown up already. So people think that drugs are a solution to the problem. But eventually the drug becomes the problem. I want to say that again. People think drugs are a solution to the problem. But the drugs become the problem in the long run. So you thinking that you're doing a solution. You thinking, I'm getting high, or it's a habit. I like it. I like getting high, or it's a habit. I'm getting high. And you figure that is a solution, but it's the problem eventually. Now you got a big problem on your hand. Okay. So as difficult as it may be to face one's problem, the consequence of drug use are always worse than a problem one is trying to solve with them. The real answer is to get the facts and not take drugs in the first place. Now that's easy. That's a writer. Now I'm not saying that. That's somebody else's words. I'm just reading it off there. That's not my words. And that's what a person can say on the outside looking in. They can say that, yeah, well, nobody. I mean, I didn't take drugs. I had problems. I had stress. I had life. I lived. I did this and that. You know, that's their stuff. They can tell you how they overcame and all the stuff they did. But at the end of the day, that's easy said than done for someone who probably, was able to overcome certain situations, quote, certain situations. As for us, folks, for us folks, there may be not, I mean, we can't say that they shouldn't took drugs in the first place. No, they shouldn't took drugs in the first place. I shouldn't took drugs in the first place. But guess what? I did, and it's over. What you gonna do about it? Now they have a problem. Won't you help them? Okay? Won't you help them? So I'm gonna tell you this. Drugs are essentially poison. The amount taken determines their effect. They are poison. Small amount acts as a stimulant, speed you up. A greater amount acts as a sedative, slow you down. And even larger amount poison and can kill you. So this is it. You can take a little bit and get that little buzz, clean the house. And then you can get that amount that kind of like, yeah. Then you get an amount that just have you like, that means you're dead or you're about to die if they don't get you to the hospital right away because everything is shutting down. Okay, that's not a joke. That's not a joke. So this is true of any drugs. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a stimulant, which is cocaine, caffeine. I don't care if it's a sedative from heroin to painkillers. It don't matter. It's all poison and it's all going to eventually kill you. Okay? It's all going to cause breaking down of your organs and your vital and your brain. Okay? They showed a picture of a normal person with their brain off of drugs and the person with their brain on drugs. And you can see the deterioration of what the drugs was doing just from a little bit. And they weren't doing that long. It was a study that research shows that, okay? And they showed a person who has a normal liver to a person who has an abnormal liver. They show a person who has a normal lung to a person who smokes cigarettes and their lung is not. Okay? Whatever you put inside of you, even if you eating wrong, if you're not eating, they will show your stomach, they will show your intestines, they will show all kinds of stuff to say when you eat healthy diet, this is what you look like, and when you don't eat a healthy diet, this is what you look like. Look at your arteries, how they clog up if you keep eating all them carbs. Your arteries are clogged up, and then they got to go in there with a catheter and clean. Come on, it's all the same thing with drugs, but people don't realize it, or they don't think of it, or they don't even care because they figure like it's nothing. It's legal. Drinking is legal. Marijuana is getting ready to be legal. Hey, but they don't realize what they put in the stuff that causes these deteriorations and what they put in the stuff. If you ever read, I don't know, but have you ever read the ingredients in alcohol? Oh my goodness. If it can start a car, let me tell you, if you could pour some of that in a car and start it, that tells you what it can do to your body if you continue to keep drinking it. But I ain't the one who here to judge nobody. Okay, I did it all, so I'm not here to judge nobody. So anyway, that's what it does. And so again, many drugs have another liability. They directly affect the mind. They can distort the user's perception of what is happening around him or her. As a result, the person's actions may be odd, irrational, inappropriate, and even destructive. And so that's where you get a majority of the people who may be dealing with some other issues. Okay, so now we're gonna have Jay Coleman come on and wrap it up. And I will be back next week to talk to you, to kind of give you some more information on how drugs block, and just do a few other takeaways. But I'm going to turn it over to him at this time. Thank you for your time. I love you all. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. I am back again. Had to do a few touch-ups here and there. This is really a great topic and subject that my wife and I came up with. And of course, I haven't been on here in forever, but just because I haven't been on here doesn't mean that I have not been participating. I've been, how you say it, in the back scenes. I'm in the back, and I'm constantly doing things, thinking of ways or other ideas or things to do. But without any other that being said, but what she was just saying and touched on about these drugs is very powerful. She just gave you some information on the studies and proven fact about these drugs. And the reason why I think this is a really great thing to do, because like I said, the first admittance in recovery, the first step to recovery is admittance. Once you admit that you have a problem, then you'll be able to get help in that realm. A lot of people, I'm gonna speak for myself. When I was out there using, we talking years ago, my birthday be Monday, I'll be 56, not just anybody, but happy birthday to me. I'm celebrating about the whole month. But when I was out there using, of course, I was always in denial. I was always saying, nah, I ain't got a problem. Ain't no drugs. What drugs? Nope, I'm not doing no drugs. And the thing is this: once you're doing drugs, especially when you start off with anything, like she stated earlier, anything that you do constantly is an addiction. If you constantly got to have something as a need, it's a codependent, like you just got to have it. It's an addiction. So while you're within that addiction, it's like a codependent. You depend on that to compensate or whatever you may be feeling. At the time when I was out there using, I didn't ever think nothing was wrong with it, especially when I was using marijuana. From that time to this time, that marijuana came a long way. But watch this. Through it all, it's still is a drug. It's a drug that's causing you to do other things that you may not feel that it's affecting you. When I was doing it, I was like, I'm smoking, I'm just chilling. That's nothing. To me, I felt that I had the munchies, the munchies, you want to eat everything. You just want to be mellowed out. You just want to just be laid back, leave me alone. I ain't bothering nobody. I'm just, I'm smoking all this and everything. But as time went on and goes on to say that, one thing leads to the next. So once you try this, you want to try that. And when I say this and that, it's named for this and that. You got the marijuana, then you got the coke, then you wanna lace certain things, you wanna do certain things with the cigarettes, you wanna put the coke in the cigarettes, and then you wanna do all kinds of things. So one thing leads to the next. But again, with all of those habits that people are having, it's kind of hard to get off if you don't want to change. And I'm going to tell you that again. It's hard to get off if you don't want a change. A change starts within yourself, within your mind, and then you have to ask God as you're going to help you along this way, because you alone is hard to get off if it's just you trying to get off on your own. That's why they have steps, they have recovery groups, they have counselors, they have people and places in place for people that want to be able to help those that want help. Again, a lot of people, they don't want to stop doing what they're doing. To each his own. That's what you do. You like it. I love it. But I am here to talk about the effects of what it have done to me. It practically destroyed me. I'm talking about me. This way I can stay safe in that realm. It had to the point where I was spending more money than I was making. I didn't feel at the time like, oh, this ain't nothing. Drinking, smoking, drugging, clubbing, no effect on me. Yeah, guess what? Newsflash, in life, these things will catch up to you. Number one, it starts working on the inside. once you have something that's working on the inside and it starts to deteriorate, it shows up on the outside. So when you have something that's you might go on every day and you thinking nothing's going on. I remember it was a time, and I'm talking years ago. We talking about, wow, I've been married now 22, like 20, even before I got married, 22 years plus ago, right? I used to smoke so much marijuana, and I used to say to myself, one day I'm gonna die smoking this weed. I was like chuckling, like making a joke out of it, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna die." Guess what? One day, I remember I was going, went to my sister's house, and I was going up the stairs, and when I was running up the stairs, I felt a sharp pain in my body, and I was like, "What is that?" Like, I ain't think nothing of it, right? So I continued, going upstairs. Oh no, I can't do it. So my sister said, "No, we need to go to the doctor." Went to the doctor. Lo and behold, the doctor, every time the doctor would touch my stomach, I would feel like somebody was stabbing me, like it was a sharp, very, very sharp pain. So he didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was, of course. So they had to do some testing. Back then, they didn't have all what they have now, the CAT scans and all the things, the technology that they have now. But what they did was took a tube and they put it on my nose and they ran it down my throat. And as the black stuff is what I call it, but lo and behold, the black stuff was residue that was coming out of my body. It was so much, it was filled up, like, how you have an IV and they're putting medicine into your body with the liquid form. It was residue coming out of my body into that thing, and it just was piling up. And then the doctor, everybody else was looking like, wow, what is, like, this is all inside of your body. And had you not came in, when you came in, who knows, you probably wouldn't have been able to make it in, because I had consumed so much marijuana in my body that I didn't know what was going on, right? Watch this. As soon as the doctor cleared me that night, a couple hours I was in the hospital, okay, I'm good, I'm gone, right? No sooner did I got in that car, drove myself to where I was going, because, we always got somewhere to go, somewhere to be. I rolled another blunt. Go figure. I just got to the hospital, like to die from this, and yet I still continue to smoke. This lets you know that drugs has an impact on a person's mind. You don't think that you're going to die. You just think that you want to get high. You want to feel good. You want to mellow out. You want to relax. Like, you want to escape from everything that's all around you. Even right now, as we go through what we're going through with this pandemic, a lot of people is consuming. Now, let me rephrase that. There are some people that may be consuming escapes, like they want to get a bottle, they want to drink. Oh, this is not going away. I want to drink. I want to smoke. I want to do this. I want to do that. But at the same time, whatever it is that is being done is an addiction. So now it's like a codependent, like you used to have. Is like every day I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna smoke, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But guess what? If you constantly doing what you're doing, or whoever it is what you're doing, and not coming to the truth of that, I don't have a problem, you're going to find yourself someplace where you don't want to be. And right now, this is not the time or the place to be in those areas, for the simple fact that it's so hard to get off of these things without professional help and guidance. This is why it's so important, and I'm grateful for my wife to be able to bring this literature out, and then it has on there, how do drugs work? Drugs is essentially poison. She spoke about that, how drugs is a poison. Anything that's labeled, she even spoke about the alcohol, which was wow. Like she said, if alcohol can start a car, and I remember when I was drinking, I drank, what did it call it? I don't know if they have it anymore. What is that? 151 Bacardi? Yeah, the 151 proof. That lets you know anything that's past 100 proof, they added 51% more. That lets you know that it's something that's inside there that's determined to take you out. So these manufacturers, these people that's making these drugs, these alcohol, those things, they don't care nothing about you. All they care is about that dollar bill, to be able to get it to you, so this way it can consume you, so this way it be less of you, more money in their pocket, fatten them up. In the meantime, it's deteriorating your body and causes things to happen in your body as you go on in life. But like I said, as time goes on, you don't have to be in that position. This is why we have this show here now, Life, living in freedom every day. living in freedom. What is living in freedom every day, J. Cole? But I'm gonna tell you what's living in freedom every day. Living in freedom is free from the things that you no longer used to do, that you had depended on from time way back then, or things that you feel free of not doing what you used to do. You feel free, able to say, "Oh, I remember I used to do that. I remember I used to do this. I remember I no longer do it no more." That's free. That's free as being free within yourself. You see, what happens is when you're free within yourself, it allows things to take place. That's what living in freedom is attached to your life. And as being a person that God has created, God didn't create us to be able to be a product of our own environment and just continue to do what it is that we've been doing, because we was exposed to these things and that we are still exposed to them. So you got to be able to find an outlet. You got to be like, you know what? This drug had destroyed my family. This drug had destroyed my marriage. This drug had destroyed my children. This drug had destroyed my job. This drug had destroyed my freedom. See that? Freedom. You get caught. They got checkpoints in place. DUIs. If you get stopped, you're gonna influence. What? You're going straight to jail. You go to jail, you're going to pay it, you're going to be in jail, you're going to spend money on lawyers, you're going to spend money to put a device in your vehicle before you can drive to and from work. You're going to spend money constantly. It's all, designed for us or people to fall into those traps. But I came to let you know on this evening, you can be free from those things. But like I said, it takes time. It takes time to get help. You understand? Like I said, the first step to recovery is admittance. Like I said, I'm not a therapist. I'm not one of those persons that has the PhDs and all those degrees to help people along the way. But I am going to talk about what it worked for me. See, what works for me may not work for others, but I am here to be able to talk to you and speak to you about, just being free from that thing, because I'm going on now. I've been like at least 19 years clean, at least 19 years clean within my life. From no drugs, nothing. When I said nothing, I mean nothing. Have I had a desire to want to do it? Yeah, I see a commercial. Come on, not so much commercial. Come on TV and talk about the medical marijuana. You can go to the doctor, you can get this, you can get that. Guess what? Once you get that, it's just like a relapse. You're going back to what you was delivered from and being free from. So, I may joke around with it, it's legal. I don't want to do it because, like I said, one thing will lead to another, and then another, and then another. And who wants to do that all over again? Not me. I'm telling you, not me. Not me. I do not. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about you, as my pastor would say. The great thing about, again, what my wife was sharing with you earlier about, this is true of any drug. Only the amount needed to achieve the effect difference. See, you can have small amounts of anything that could trigger off to something bigger. All right. It only takes one. You might work all day. Say, you know what? I'm gonna go home, get me a glass of wine. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna chill out. Get one glass, lead to another glass, and then another glass, and then next thing you know, tomorrow comes, same thing. I need to get another glass. I'm going to eat something. I need to cook. I need to make me a wine. So now it's something that you're looking forward to having, which is nothing wrong with. Like I said, you like it. I love it. That's the preference that you choose. Hey, I'm not here to pass judgment upon any or no one, but I am going to say that I choose not to do it because of my preference, because of my deliverance that I have been set free from, that I went through so much. And like I said, I will be able to speak about that another time, time per minute, but right now it's not me talking about what I have endured, because like I said, if I start talking about whatever I've endured, we're going to be on here for a couple of hours and, but which is a good thing, to me, because like I said, I am free from that thing. And I thank God that I am free from that darkness, the way I was at in the it was just awful. And let me just finish reading some more. They said, but many drugs have another liability. They have directly affect the mind. I don't know if she read this or not, but when it says the mind, you see, your mind and I used to say this oftentimes, your mind is a terrible thing to waste. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste because your mind is equipped with lots of knowledge. But when you have anything that alters the mind, drugs, alcohol, pills, anything that affects your mind to cause you not to perform the way that you usually perform, it gets noticed. It don't go by unnoticed. And the thing is this, it can get noticed on your job. It can affect your job. It's like you will be at your job, and next thing you know, you have to run out every few minutes or run to the bathroom or run here to do what it is that you're used to doing to get you through the day. It only takes a mind thing to think about that thing. Oh yeah, maybe if I do this, I'll be fine. Or maybe if I do this, nobody know. Or maybe if I do this, I'll be all right. People knows, because you know why people knows, because anytime that you start out with something or start out with yourself being who you are, and people start seeing you doing things differently from what you've been doing, that's an effect right there. It shows up, because what you put on the inside, it shows up on the outside. You might try to mask it, for instance. Like I said, they have things that where people could just put things on. They look all good. They put some perfume and cologne and different things on that people may not think that they can notice and stuff. All of that is something that cover it up, because like I said, what you do, it'll show. Somewhere along the line, it's gonna show up. Because the thing is this, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, like I stated earlier, right? So when you doing those things to your mind, they can distort the user's perception of what is happening around him or her. Because like I said, you can use judgment in thinking that you're doing something. The next thing you know, matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you this also. I remember one time, this is back in the days. I don't know if they even still have it around or not. They probably do. But actually, they got some other stuff. Ecstasy. I can't even say it because I don't use it. But I remember it was a tab called a mescaline tab. It was a little purple pill. It was really little. It was so little that you really couldn't see it. But guess what? You put that in. I used to put it in a 40 ounce of Old English. I put it in there, right? And then I put it in and I drink it, right? Next thing you know, I'm laughing, I'm joking, I'm laughing, I'm joking, right? I get in the car and I drive. And next thing you know, I start seeing all kinds of things all around me. I'm hallucinating, like I'm driving, like I'm seeing cars, people walking fast, and I'm looking at people's heads. Oh my God, I can remember those things because it took place within my life. And let me tell you something. At the time, it felt good. Oh yes, it felt real good, because I laugh. But it kept me up. Wouldn't allow me to go to sleep. I stayed up for a couple of hours when I know I'm supposed to be sleeping. I'm up 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, preparing for the next day, to stay up all that day to go to sleep on the third day. Yeah, I'm talking 2 days at a time. Years of my life just went down the drain because I want to get high. I want to run chasing a drug. You chasing the drug that it's like the first time when you use a drug and you get that high, it's like you start chasing. That's it. Once is one time too many. And that one time will lead you to keep going and going and going and going and going. It don't never stop. It don't stop. It just keep going, because what happens is you keep chasing it. You keep chasing a dream that's never going to come to life. You understand? That drug dream is real life. But if you continue to chase that dream and then you just get, thrown off from your mind, you just start thinking of other kinds of things that try to create a space within yourself. And as a result, the person's action may add to irritable, inappropriate, or even destructive. Inappropriate and even destructive. Drugs make people paranoid, schizophrenic, They make people do things they never could thought they can even imagine of doing before. And once they do these things, and once that drug is over, after they done some inappropriate things, and after it wears off, you look back as if it wears off, because some people, they ain't given an opportunity to wear off. They continually doing it and doing it and doing it until it leaves them gone. They're no longer here. But for those people that have went through it and got off it, I applaud you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And like I said, a lot of people that's in recovery or want to go to recovery, don't want to go to recovery, or they say, I know a friend, or I know somebody, I'm asking for a friend. No problem. Ask us. Like I said, this is what we're doing. You know, it's call us up. Talk to us. It's all confidentiality. We can help you. We can show you. We can offer. We can advise. You know, we like I said, we're not licensed in this area right now. All we can do is talk about what has taken place in our lives, my life. I'm gonna say mine because I'm here by myself, solo. I'm here and I don't need no one to lean on except God, and that's who I leaned on when I was going through what I was going through, and I asked God to help me, please. Say, God, if you don't do it now, it can't be done. And by the grace of God, it was done. You know, I think about the time when I found that myself falling. It's like I felt like I was falling off of a cliff. I consumed so much drugs one night that I felt that I was in a train station, and I was standing there, and all I could say is I just want to just fall. I just want to lean over. I want to lean over because I was so consumed. My mind was playing tricks on me. You see, there we go again. The mind, your mind start playing tricks on you. And I was in the train station, and all I could do was just like, you know, if I could just, I just want to lean over and get this over with. But just in the nick of the time, snatched me up and said, no, I got work for you to do. And the work that I have for you to do is to do what I'm doing right now. You're going to be free from this thing. You're going to be delivered from this thing. You're going to be able to tell people about the goodness that you have been through and you came out of it. You know, it wasn't an easy process, but I'm here to tell you that I feel great not using drugs for the past 19 years. I need to give myself a hand clap for that, because I'm going to tell you something. That is a great, 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 great accomplishment. That's just like, excuse me, just like when you're somewhere and you want something so bad, you can almost reach out and grab it. But at the same time, excuse me, at the same time, you can't grab it because it's out of your reach. That's the hallucination of those drugs. You'll be reaching for something that's not there. It's like right now you're reaching for something and you can't feel it because it's going further and further and further away. That's what them drugs do to your mind. You know? Well, I just want to say in my closing, until we come back on next week, that I know that things that we are faced with right now with this pandemic is real. It's real out here. It's real. But I also know that the effects of drugs is real as well. I also know that not using is just as real. Being living free, life, living in freedom every day. Who wouldn't want that? Especially now more than ever. You want to be free from whatever it is that someone, maybe not you, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, co-worker, or either a stranger, somebody you might see on the street asking for $1, $2. And in your mind, the first thing say, I know they're going to go get high. I know they're going to take my money. They're going to go do this. You know, they need help. Everybody needs somebody sometime. That's why I'm grateful that we are here to be able to talk and share. And you can like and you can share from what we bring forth. In this way, it might help somebody. Somebody may be dealing with something that they don't want to go get help. They don't know how to ask for help. They're too ashamed They don't know how their family gonna treat them. They say might look down upon them. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. The first step to recovery is admitting. You have to admit that you have a problem in order to want to be helped. How you gonna be helped if you don't admit? You holding those things inside, but you wanna release. You wanna be free. I just want to say thank you again for allowing us to be here on this time. And until the next time, have a good evening and good night. Monet. Sorry.